Welcome back to the Reynolds Direction. My name is Scott Reynolds, and I have a very special guest today, Wesley Davis, the Indian River County Appraiser's Office. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Scott.
We just had, Wesley on short notice came out and met with our office, and as real estate agents, the some of the new news that's the politicians somehow worked out. I don't even know the actual name of the bill, but where they're going to raise, put it up for vote. Let's say raise the homestead exemption.
Yeah. What it is the legislature passed a constitutional amendment that will increase the assessed value of the homestead. Excuse me. They'll increase the value of a homestead exemption from $50,000 to $250,000
$250,000
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Next year it'll go up to $150,000 if passed.
2027 it will go to $150,000. Then 2028 it will go to $250,000.
Nice. And then, so, the number one question that I know people are going to ask is, is it going to save them on taxes? And I think we covered it pretty well in our office meeting that it can. And then there's a couple different options too. It's just a reality of the counties, respective counties, trying to figure out how to work within their budget of doing that.
Yeah, it can. You increase the homestead exemption. It can lower the amount that you pay in taxes. Doesn't necessarily mean that it will. And the reason why is because the municipalities and the counties, they can increase their millage rate. And so regardless of what the assessed value is, if they increase the millage rate, then no, you'll pay the same or more. Depending on what the local municipality, the city council, the mosquito control hospital district, depending on what they do with their millage rates, is really going to be indicative of whether or not you're going to have a reduction in your taxes.
And some of the things that we put in our email blast out to our clients was just kind of the highlights of what the bill. We also was very clear and actually attached the bill. Because
I don't know if that helps or not, but
well, at least I love and hate the media sometimes. Is like everyone spends things in so many different ways,
right.
And so at least you could attach the actual bill, right. And that way it's not he said she said. But there's through this I've learned a lot that of course homestead properties are a big contributor of the overall budget. Schools are not part of it. Schools are exempt.
Right.
But also I didn't know about the sales tax and even taxing your fuel. There's a portion of the tax of your fuel goes towards the budget as well.
Yeah, there's all kind of ways that states and cities can raise revenue. They do it. They have a sales tax. The states, there's a lot of states have income tax. We don't. And I know, like in Tennessee, they have like a 12% sales tax. Here in River County, we've got a 7% sales tax, and 6% in the state of Florida. But there's an additional 1% that the voters approved for certain infrastructure improvements. That's why ours is at 6 or 7%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know Indian River County. One of the things, like when I have people that are looking at different counties, Indian River County is one of the least expensive counties that at least we compete in. Like, I don't know about all the rural counties, but I know with comparing Indian River overall millage rates to St. Lucie County or to even Brevard County, the same home is taxed lower here in Indian River County.
And that's because of the land, not land values, the value of the properties. And I can use for example, in this county, let's look at the municipalities. The lowest millage rate, the city with the lowest millage rate in this county is Indian River Shores. And that's because values are so high.
Right.
Yes, okay. The municipality with the highest millage rate is Fellsmere. That's where the lower value homes are. And so they all have to have a police chief. They all have to have a city manager. They all have to have, these things to run a city. And so the city manager gets paid just about as much to be city manager of Fellsmere as they do city of Indian River Shores. And when you have the lower value properties, you have to have a higher millage rate to be able to provide those services.
And then obviously, so then, like St. Lucie County, their basis is the properties may be a little less, but then they also have a lot more people, but then obviously they probably need a lot more services.
Yeah, and they were paying for some things that during the last boom, like some of the what was it, the scripts, some of those job things,
Okay.
the job corridor,
Yeah.
and all that. I mean, they're just now getting themselves out of the weeds from the throes of the
Okay.
last Great Recession. So
Okay, so then, just a few other highlights or, points on it. The second non-homesteaded properties, and they're used to be taxed at 10%, or I'm sorry, biggest increase would be 10%.
Right.
And then now the biggest increase could be 5%. It doesn't mean that they're always hit those maximums. It just all depends on what the values do.
yeah, non-homesteaded properties in the state of Florida can only go up by 10% annually on an annualized basis. The language in this constitutional amendment that is going to be on the November ballot is that the non-homesteaded properties can only go, their assessed value can only go up by 5% on an annual basis.
Right. And that was like, those were the two, those were the biggest things that I really saw in it, other than the timelines, once, if someone's buying this year, they could capitalize on, if it is passed. This is the asterisk I keep wanting to just restate. If it, when or if it passed, is they can benefit from the 150 and then eventually the 250. But if you show up in February or March, then then everything's kind of delayed over the next 5 years.
5 years, yes.
5 years,
Yeah, didn't cover
which I
that.
think is smart.
Yeah, what that is basically is it's making it so that for the current residents or current homeowners, as of December 31st of this year, that if you're in there, then you get the $250,000 exemption if it passes. And of course, it's got to pass by 60% of the vote in order for it to amend the Constitution of the state of Florida. And this has to be a constitutional amendment because all the language that pertains to homestead exemptions is in the Constitution.
Well, it's definitely made, if nothing else, it's definitely, we've got a lot of inquiries and questions about, especially our friends up north. I don't think anyone is coming here just for the proposed, savings. But when I've actually had the chance to get to talk to people, it is, they were already thinking about coming, but maybe weren't like, this may throw them over the hump. They were already, not liking, wanting to come here for various reasons.
Yeah.
So, man, I know this is like a busy time of year for you, and I'm so glad that I was able to get you some time here on the podcast with our listeners. And I really appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
My pleasure, Scott.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, if you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to reach out. All my information is below, and we'll also put the county, Wesley's information or his team's information down below as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.